In the heart of the city stood Unity University, a place filled with students from all over, a place where knowledge and dreams grew. But there was something different about a new student who arrived that morning. Anthony. He had blue skin. Not the pale, light blue you might imagine, but a deep ocean blue, like the sky just before dawn. His appearance shocked everyone. As Anthony walked into the university, heads turned and whispers spread like wildfire. Some students stared at him in awe, others with fear, and some even laughed behind his back. Who is this? Is he from another planet? What kind of person has blue skin? Anthony felt the eyes of the crowd on him, the weight of their judgment. He wanted to turn and run away, but he took a deep breath and walked straight into the main hall, determined to face whatever came his way. It wasn't long before he found his seat in the classroom. As he sat down, a group of students at the back began to whisper loudly. "He looks so weird," one of them said. "Why is he here? Does he think he's better than us?" Anthony tried to ignore them, focusing on the lecture, but no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't escape the hurtful words and stares. The teacher, a kind woman named Professor Mabel, noticed Anthony sitting quietly and gave him a warm smile. "Welcome, Anthony," she said. "I'm glad you're here." But despite her kind words, the other students seemed determined to make his time at Unity University miserable. The next day, Anthony walked to the cafeteria, hoping for a peaceful lunch. As he picked his food, a group of boys walked up to him. The leader, Greg, had a sneer on his face. "Hey, blue boy, what's it like to be from another world?" The others laughed, but Anthony didn't say anything. He kept his head low, hoping they would leave him alone. But Greg wasn't done. "Does your blue skin mean you're a prince?" he asked sarcastically. "Or maybe you're a superhero. Do you have special powers?" The laughter grew louder, and Anthony could feel his cheeks burn with shame. He just wanted to eat his meal and forget about the teasing. But that wasn't going to happen. "You're weird," one of the boys said, pushing Anthony's shoulder. "Why don't you just go back to wherever you came from?" Anthony's heart pounded in his chest. He didn't want to cause trouble, but their words stung deeply. He grabbed his tray and walked away, feeling like everyone was watching him. When he found an empty table, he sat alone, tears welling in his eyes. Why did they hate him so much just because he looked different? Later that day, as Anthony sat under a tree outside, trying to clear his mind, he saw a girl approaching him. She had bright eyes and a warm smile, and she looked like someone who didn't care what others thought. "Are you okay?" she asked, sitting next to him. Anthony wiped his eyes quickly. "I'm fine, just trying to be left alone." "I saw what happened in the cafeteria," she said gently. "People can be cruel sometimes, but they don't know you." Anthony looked at her, confused. "Why are you being nice to me? Don't you think I'm strange too?" Sophia shook her head. "You're not strange. You're just different, and different is good. I'm Sophia, by the way." Anthony smiled for the first time that day. "I'm Anthony." From that moment, Sophia became his first true friend at the university. She didn't care about his skin color. She didn't care about the rude comments or the whispers. She saw Anthony for who he was on the inside, kind, smart, and brave. Soon, Sophia introduced Anthony to her other friends, Ethan and Zara. Ethan was quiet but intelligent, and Zara was bold, always standing up for what was right. The four of them became inseparable. They spent time together studying, eating, and talking about their dreams. Slowly, Anthony began to feel like he belonged. One afternoon, while Anthony and his friends were walking to the library, Greg and his gang approached them. "Hey, blue boy, I bet you can't win a race," Greg said, a mocking grin on his face. "Let's see if you're as fast as you think you are." Zara stepped forward. "Why don't you leave him alone, Greg? You've been bothering him long enough." But Greg just laughed. "No one cares about your opinion, Zara. We're having fun. Right, Anthony?" He turned to face Anthony, daring him to respond. Anthony felt his heart race. He didn't want to back down, but he also didn't want to make things worse. "Fine," he said, taking a deep breath. "I will race you, but I won't bow down to you if I lose." Greg's eyes narrowed. "If you lose, you have to admit you're a loser in front of everyone." The challenge was set. The whole university gathered to watch the race. Greg, who was known for his speed, seemed sure he would win. Anthony, however, was determined to prove he wasn't afraid. The race began, and Anthony ran with all his strength. The wind rushed past him as he pushed his body to its limits. He could hear Greg laughing behind him, but Anthony kept his focus. With each step, his confidence grew. The crowd cheered, and for the first time since he arrived at Unity University, Anthony felt proud of himself. As the finish line approached, Anthony and Greg were neck and neck. The crowd was on the edge of their seats, and even Greg seemed shocked that Anthony was keeping up. Greg tried to push ahead, but Anthony refused to give in. With one final burst of speed, Anthony crossed the finish line just a second before Greg. The crowd erupted into cheers, and even Greg's friends were stunned. Greg stood frozen, his face red with anger. "This can't be happening," he muttered. Sophia rushed to Anthony, smiling wide. "You did it. I knew you could." Anthony felt a rush of pride. For the first time in a long while, he felt like he belonged, like he had proven something to himself. Greg, however, didn't take the loss well. He stormed off, vowing to get back at Anthony. But for Anthony, that victory was more than just a race. It was a reminder that no matter how different he was, he could stand tall. The next morning, Greg was still fuming over his defeat. His pride was bruised, and he couldn't stand the thought of Anthony walking around with a smile on his blue face. Sitting in the cafeteria with his gang, Greg slammed his fist on the table. "I'll teach that blue boy a lesson he'll never forget," he growled. His friends exchanged uneasy glances. They had never seen Greg so angry. "What do you mean?" one of them asked cautiously. "I'm going to deal with him," Greg hissed. "I don't care how long it takes or what I have to do. No one embarrasses me and gets away with it." Just then, one of his friends, Peter, leaned in and whispered, "Greg, you might want to think twice before you do anything stupid." Greg frowned. "What are you talking about?" Peter glanced around to make sure no one was listening. "I heard from someone in administration that Anthony is the son of a senator." Greg's eyes widened. "What?" "Yes," Peter continued. "His father is a big politician. If anything happens to him, you'll end up in jail for the rest of your life." Greg's anger quickly turned into shock. He leaned back in his chair, his mind racing. "Are you serious?" Peter nodded. "I'm telling you, man, don't mess with him. If you think losing a race was bad, imagine losing your freedom." Greg was silent for a moment, processing what he had just heard. He couldn't believe it. All this time he had thought Anthony was a nobody, someone who didn't matter. But now he realized he had been wrong. "I thought he was just some strange kid with no connections," Greg muttered. Peter smiled. "Well, now you know. So let it go, Greg. It's not worth it." But Greg wasn't one to let things go so easily. Later that day, Greg decided to change his approach. If he couldn't intimidate Anthony, maybe he could use charm instead. He found Anthony sitting under the big tree behind the library, reading a book. Greg plastered a fake smile on his face and walked over. "Hey, Anthony," he said, his voice unusually friendly. Anthony looked up, surprised. "What do you want?" Greg laughed awkwardly. "Relax, man, I'm not here to fight. I just wanted to talk." Anthony raised an eyebrow. "Talk about what?" Greg sat down on the grass, trying to look casual. "I have been thinking. Maybe we got off on the wrong foot. I mean, that race yesterday was impressive. You've got talent." Anthony didn't say anything, but he listened. "So," Greg continued, "I was thinking we could be friends. You know, start fresh." Anthony studied Greg's face. Something about his tone didn't feel genuine. "Why do you want to be friends with me?" he asked. Greg hesitated for a moment before replying. "Because I respect you. You are different, but you are strong, and I think we could make a great team." Anthony shook his head. "I don't think so, Greg. I already have friends who like me for who I am. I don't need fake friendships." Greg's fake smile vanished, replaced by a look of anger. "Fake? What do you mean by that?" Anthony stood up, closing his book. "You've been bullying me since I got here. I don't trust you, and I don't want to be your friend." Greg couldn't hide his frustration anymore. He stood up too, towering over Anthony. "You think you are better than me now, don't you?" Anthony didn't back down. "No, Greg, I just don't need people like you in my life." Greg's face turned red with fury. "I was just playing, you know. I don't even want to be friends with someone like you. Look at you. You're ugly, Anthony, with your dirty blue face. Do you think anyone really likes you? They only pity you because you're different." Anthony felt a pang of hurt, but he refused to let Greg see it. He took a deep breath and replied calmly, Maybe I look different, but at least I don't need to bring others down to feel important. That says more about you than it does about me." Greg was speechless. He wasn't used to people standing up to him, and Anthony's words hit harder than he wanted to admit. He stormed off, muttering under his breath, "This isn't over." Anthony watched Greg storm off and let out a deep breath. He sat back down under the tree, feeling a mix of pride and exhaustion. Just as he was trying to collect his thoughts, Sophia, Zara, and Ethan appeared, walking toward him. "What happened?" Sophia asked as she sat beside him, her face filled with concern. Anthony gave a small smile. "Greg came to me pretending he wanted to be friends." Zara burst out laughing. "Greg? Friends? That's ridiculous." Ethan crossed his arms. "He's just trying something new because he knows he can't scare you anymore. Don't trust him." Anthony looked at his friends and felt his chest swell with gratitude. "Thank you for always having my back," he said softly. "I don't think I could face all this without you." Sophia reached over and gently patted his shoulder. "You're not alone, Anthony. We are here for you, no matter what." The next morning, Zara and Sophia were sitting on a bench near the university garden. The soft chirping of birds and the warm breeze made it the perfect place for a conversation. "I need to tell you something," Sophia said suddenly, breaking the silence. Zara smiled nervously. "Funny, I was going to say the same thing. But you go first." "No, you go first," Sophia replied, shaking her head. Zara rolled her eyes playfully. "Why don't you just talk, Sophia?" Sophia crossed her arms. "Nope, you started it, so you go first." Zara hesitated, looking down at her hands. After a few seconds, she sighed and said, "All right, fine." She looked around to make sure no one was listening, then leaned closer to Sophia. "I think I'm in love with Anthony," Zara whispered, her voice barely audible. Sophia's eyes widened in surprise. "What? ? Keep your voice down," Zara scolded, glancing around nervously. Sophia leaned in, her excitement barely contained. "Are you serious? Since when?" "I don't know," Zara admitted, running her fingers through her hair. "It just happened. He's kind, brave, and he doesn't care what people think of him. But I don't know how to tell him. What if I ruin our friendship?" Sophia shook her head firmly. "Zara, listen to me. If you don't tell him, some other girl might take him away from you. Do you want that to happen?" Zara frowned, thinking about Sophia's words. "No, of course not. But I need time. I don't want to mess this up." Sophia sighed but nodded. "All right, take your time, but don't wait too long. You never know what might happen." Zara smiled. "Thanks, Sophia. Now, what was it you wanted to tell me?" Sophia blinked and looked confused for a moment. Then she laughed. "Oh wow, I completely forgot. I don't even remember anymore. Don't worry though. I will call you when I get home if I remember." Zara laughed too, shaking her head. "You are unbelievable, Sophia." They both laughed, the tension easing between them, but Zara's heart was still heavy. How was she going to tell Anthony how she felt? Later that day, Zara was walking toward the library when she noticed a girl talking to Anthony under the same tree he always sat under. The girl was smiling and laughing, and Anthony seemed to be enjoying the conversation. Zara felt a pang of jealousy. She didn't recognize the girl, but she seemed confident and friendly. Zara stood frozen for a moment, watching them from a distance. What if Sophia was right, she thought. What if someone else gets to him before I do? But then she shook her head. No, I can't let that happen. I have to tell him how I feel. Soon. Zara turned and walked away, her mind racing. Greg sat alone in his room, staring at his phone. He was scrolling through the university's social media page when something caught his attention. A post about Anthony's father. So Anthony is really the son of a senator, Greg muttered, his face hardening. That's why no one can touch him. His hands tightened into fists, but Greg wasn't the type to give up easily. A sly smile spread across his face as an idea came to him. If I can't deal with him directly, I will find another way to make his life a nightmare, he thought. Without wasting time, Greg grabbed his phone and sent a text to one of his closest friends. Meet me at the cafeteria. I have got a plan. Greg's mind was racing with ideas. He didn't just want to embarrass Anthony. He wanted to destroy his name completely. Later that afternoon, Greg and his two closest friends, Chris and Victor, sat in a corner of the university cafeteria. The room was filled with the sound of laughter and chatter, but their conversation was far from friendly. "What's this plan about?" Chris asked, leaning forward. Greg smirked. "We are going to teach Anthony a lesson. He thinks he's untouchable because his dad is a senator, but everyone has a weak spot. We just need to find his." Victor raised an eyebrow. "You're sure about this? If we get caught messing with him, we could be in big trouble." Greg waved off the concern. "Relax, we won't do anything obvious. We'll use someone else to do the dirty work." Chris frowned. "What do you mean?" Greg leaned closer and whispered, "I've seen how people look at him when he walks by. Some students think he's strange because of his blue skin. If we spread the right rumors, we can turn everyone against him." Victor hesitated. "What kind of rumors?" Greg grinned wickedly. "Leave that to me. By the time I'm done, Anthony won't even want to show his face on campus." Chris chuckled. "Sounds like a plan." Victor still looked uneasy, but nodded. "Just make sure this doesn't come back to us." Greg sat back in his chair, feeling triumphant. "Don't worry, Anthony won't see it coming." The next day, Anthony walked into the lecture hall and felt something was off. The usual whispers and stares seemed louder and more pointed. As he sat down, a few students nearby moved away, pretending to cough or cover their noses. He frowned and looked around. Sophia, Zara, and Ethan hadn't arrived yet, so he was alone. A few students giggled, and Anthony caught bits of their conversation. "I heard he's contagious," one of them whispered. "Yeah, someone said it's a disease," another added. Anthony's heart sank. He tried to ignore them, but the words stung. He had worked so hard to stay strong, but this felt different. It was as if the whole campus had suddenly turned against him. When Sophia, Zara, and Ethan finally arrived, they immediately noticed his tense expression. "What's wrong?" Sophia asked, sitting next to him. Anthony hesitated but eventually said, "I think people are spreading lies about me. They're saying my skin is some kind of disease." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Who would do something like that?" Zara's eyes darkened. "It has to be Greg. He's the only one who hates you this much." Anthony nodded. "I think you're right, but I don't know how to prove it." Sophia placed a reassuring hand on his arm. "We'll figure it out. You're not alone in this." Ethan leaned in. "If Greg is behind this, we will make him regret it." That evening, Zara was walking back to her dorm when she overheard Greg and his friends talking near the basketball court. She hid behind a tree, listening closely. "This is just the beginning," Greg was saying. "Once everyone thinks Anthony is dangerous, he'll have no choice but to leave." Chris laughed. "You're evil, Greg. I love it." Victor sounded less enthusiastic. "We should stop before this gets out of hand." Greg scoffed. "Out of hand? This is nothing. Just wait until tomorrow." Zara's blood boiled as she listened. She wanted to jump out and confront them, but she knew it wouldn't end well. Instead, she pulled out her phone and recorded their conversation. "This will show everyone what kind of person Greg really is," she thought, clutching her phone tightly. Zara hurried back to her dorm, her heart racing. She replayed the recording on her phone to make sure it was clear. Greg's voice came through, loud and unmistakable, revealing his entire plan. "This will end him," she whispered to herself, feeling a mix of anger and satisfaction. But as she sat on her bed, doubt crept in. Should she show this to Anthony immediately? Or should she wait and gather more proof? Zara didn't want Greg to find a way to turn things around and make Anthony's situation worse. Her phone buzzed, breaking her thoughts. It was a text from Sophia. "Where are you? We're meeting at the usual spot." Zara grabbed her bag and left, heading toward the tree where the group always met. When Zara arrived, Anthony, Sophia, and Ethan were already there. She could see the exhaustion on Anthony's face, but his eyes brightened when he saw her. "You won't believe what I just heard," Zara said, sitting down. Sophia frowned. "What is it?" Zara took a deep breath and pulled out her phone. "I overheard Greg talking to his friends. They're the ones spreading those horrible rumors about Anthony. I recorded everything." Anthony's eyes widened. "You did?" Zara nodded and played the recording. As Greg's voice filled the air, everyone listened in silence. When it ended, Ethan's face was a mix of anger and determination. "That guy has gone too far. We need to do something about this." Sophia agreed. "But how? We can't just confront him. He'll deny everything." Zara smiled. "I was thinking about that. What if we post this recording online? Let everyone hear the truth." Once people know Greg's behind the rumors, they will stop believing him. Anthony hesitated. Are you sure? That could make things worse. What if he retaliates? Sophia placed a hand on his shoulder. Anthony, you didn't do anything wrong. Greg is the one who should be scared, not you. Ethan nodded. We're with you no matter what. The next morning, a post appeared on the university's social media page. It included the recording of Greg's conversation and a caption that read, "The truth behind the lies. Stop the hate." Within hours, the campus was buzzing. Students listened to the recording and shared it with their friends. Greg's name was on everyone's lips, and the once confident bully found himself avoiding people wherever he went. By lunchtime, Greg's friends Chris and Victor had distanced themselves from him. "You're on your own, man," Victor said coldly before walking away. Greg clenched his fists, his face burning with shame and anger. He knew who was behind this, Anthony and his friends. "They'll pay for this," Greg muttered to himself, storming off. The next day, Zara couldn't stop thinking about what she was going to say to Anthony. Her heart was racing as she walked to their usual meeting spot, the big tree near the university's campus. Anthony was already sitting under the tree, looking at his phone. When he saw her, he smiled warmly. "Hey, Zara," he greeted her. "What's up?" Zara hesitated for a moment, taking a deep breath. "Anthony, there's something I need to tell you." Anthony looked up, his expression curious. "What is it?" Zara's heart pounded as she spoke. "I like you, Anthony. I've liked you for a long time, and I think you should know." Anthony blinked in surprise, his mouth opening slightly. For a moment, he didn't know what to say. Then, after a deep breath, he smiled gently. "Zara, I like you too. I've liked you for a while, but I didn't know how to tell you." Zara's heart skipped a beat. She had waited so long to hear those words. A smile broke across her face, and she felt a wave of happiness wash over her. "Really?" she asked, barely able to believe it. Anthony nodded. "Yeah, I didn't want to ruin our friendship either, but I'm glad you told me. I was afraid you wouldn't feel the same way." Zara felt her cheeks flush, a mix of joy and relief filling her. "I'm so happy to hear you say that." They both sat in silence for a moment, smiling at each other, the bond between them growing stronger. It felt like the world had become a little brighter, and for the first time in a long while, Zara felt like everything was finally falling into place. Later that evening, Zara sat in her room, her phone pressed to her ear. She had to tell Sophia about what had happened. The excitement in her voice was clear as she spoke. "Sophia, you won't believe it. Anthony likes me too. He said he's liked me for a while, but he didn't know how to tell me. I'm so happy." Sophia's voice on the other end was quiet but filled with joy. "Zara, I'm so happy for you. You deserve it. I knew something good would happen for you." Zara smiled, feeling her heart soar. "Thank you, Sophia. I really needed to talk to you. It feels like everything is changing so fast, but in a good way." Sophia laughed softly. "I'm glad for you, Zara. I can tell how happy you are." After their call ended, Zara sat on her bed, her heart still racing with excitement. She couldn't stop smiling, replaying Anthony's words in her mind. Everything felt perfect. But across town, in a quiet room, Sophia sat in silence, staring at her phone. The happiness she had tried so hard to show on the call faded away, replaced by a sinking feeling in her chest. She leaned back against her bed, her eyes filling with tears. Anthony, the boy she had secretly loved for so long, was in love with her best friend. The pain in her heart was sharp and deep. She had never imagined this would happen, not like this. Sophia wiped her eyes but couldn't stop the tears from flowing. She grabbed her phone and dialed her mother's number, desperate for comfort. "Hello, sweetheart?" Her mother's voice came softly through the line. "Mum," Sophia choked, her voice breaking, "the only boy I've ever liked. He's in love with Zara." There was a long pause before her mother responded, her voice calm and wise. "Sophia, darling, you must never fight over a man with your friend. True friendship is worth more than anything a man can give you." Sophia sniffled. "But Mum, it hurts so much. I've always liked him, and now it feels like I've lost him forever." Her mother sighed gently. "I understand, my love. It's hard, I know. But you mustn't let this come between you and Zara. Love comes in many forms, and sometimes the love we share with our friends is stronger than anything else. Don't let your feelings ruin the bond you have." Sophia was silent, the weight of her mother's words sinking in. She had never thought it would be this difficult to accept. "But what if I can't let go, Mum?" Her mother was quiet for a moment before responding softly, "You will, sweetheart. You must. Let go of the pain and trust that the right person will come into your life. You don't need to fight for a man who doesn't see you for who you truly are. You deserve someone who will love you, just as you are." Sophia's heart ached as her mother's words echoed in her mind. She knew her mother was right. She couldn't let her feelings ruin her friendship with Zara. But the sadness inside her was hard to ignore. How could she keep going knowing the boy she had cared for had chosen someone else? "I don't know how to let go," Sophia whispered. Her mother's voice was gentle but firm. "You don't have to know right now. Take your time. But remember, life is about more than just one boy. You have so much to offer the world, and someone will see that." Sophia wiped her eyes, feeling a small sense of relief. "Thank you, Mum. I will try." "Good girl, I'm always here for you," her mother replied, her voice full of love and encouragement. Sophia hung up the phone and sat in the quiet room, the tears still flowing, but a new strength beginning to grow inside her. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she had to let go of her feelings for Anthony. She couldn't let it come between her and Zara. As she sat there, trying to calm herself, she couldn't help but wonder what would happen next. Would Zara and Anthony's relationship grow stronger? Would her feelings for Anthony fade with time, or would they linger in her heart, making everything more difficult? The next day at school, Anthony and Ethan sat together on a bench under the shade of a large tree. They had just finished their morning classes, and the campus was buzzing with students talking and laughing. Ethan, always the curious one, turned to Anthony with a smile. "Hey man, I heard from Zara." "Congratulations. She said you two are now dating," Ethan said, his eyes bright with curiosity. Anthony shifted uncomfortably, looking down at the ground. He didn't know how to explain his feelings. I don't really think I like Zara the way she thinks," Anthony said softly. "Actually, I think I'm in love with someone else." Ethan's eyes widened in surprise. "Wait, what? You're not serious about Zara, so who is it then?" He leaned forward, eager to know. Anthony hesitated, feeling a bit embarrassed. He had never told anyone about his true feelings before, but he trusted Ethan, so he decided to speak from his heart. "Please, Ethan, don't tell Zara. It's just, I don't think I'm ready to share this yet, but I really like someone else, someone I think I'm in love with." Ethan raised an eyebrow, clearly interested. "Come on, man, who is she? You can't just leave me hanging like this." Anthony smiled a little, shaking his head. "Don't worry, you will meet her soon, and when you do, you'll see what I mean. She's beautiful, smart, everything I need in a woman." He looked away, his heart aching with longing. "But I haven't gathered the courage to tell her yet. I don't want to ruin anything." Ethan stared at him for a moment, then clapped Anthony on the back. "Hey, I get it. You've got to follow your heart, bro. But don't let fear hold you back. If you really care about her, go for it." Anthony nodded, appreciating his friend's advice. "I know, I don't want to make things awkward, you know." Ethan smiled. "Trust me, I get that. As for me, I'm not really looking for any relationship stress right now. College life is already busy enough, you know." Anthony laughed lightly. "Yeah, I get you. Relationships are a lot of work." Ethan grinned. "Exactly. Right now I'm focusing on my studies and my future. But for you, I say go for it, man. Don't let fear stop you from telling her how you feel." Anthony took a deep breath, feeling both relieved and nervous. Later that afternoon, Sophia decided to call Ethan to check up on him. She wanted to hear how he was doing. She dialed his number, hoping to hear his familiar voice. "Hey, Ethan," Sophia said when he answered. "How are you?" Ethan took a deep breath, sounding a little more serious than usual. "I'm all right, Sophia. Just thinking about everything." Sophia could tell something was on his mind. "What's going on?" Ethan hesitated for a moment, then spoke quietly. "I wanted to tell you something about the conversation I had with Anthony earlier today. It's important. But I need you to promise me you won't tell anyone, especially Zara." Sophia's heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" "You have my word, I won't tell anyone." Ethan's voice dropped even lower. "Anthony told me that he's not in love with Zara. He's in love with someone else. But he asked me not to tell anyone, and I need you to keep this between us." Sophia felt her heart race. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. Anthony isn't in love with Zara? The news hit her hard and she didn't know how to respond. I won't tell anyone, I promise, Sophia replied, trying to keep her voice steady. But I need to know more. Who is he in love with? Ethan sighed. I don't know who the girl is, Sophia. All I know is that it's not Zara, and I don't think Anthony wants anyone to know. He asked me to keep it a secret. After the call ended, Sophia sat alone, her thoughts swirling. She felt like her heart was breaking. She had hoped that Anthony might see her the way she saw him. She had tried to keep her feelings hidden, but now hearing that he was in love with someone else, it felt like everything she had hoped for had crumbled. I thought he loved my friend, Sophia whispered to herself. Now he's entirely in love with someone else. The truth was painful, but Sophia knew she had to face it. She couldn't keep holding on to feelings that weren't returned. It's time to let go, she told herself, wiping away a tear. With a heavy heart, Sophia realized that it was no use holding on anymore. She had to kill her feelings for Anthony and move on. It would hurt, but she couldn't keep wishing for something that wasn't meant to be. She had to accept the truth and keep going, no matter how much it hurt. Zara walked up to Anthony later that afternoon, her eyes narrowing as she approached him. She had noticed he had been distant for the past few days, avoiding her whenever they passed each other. Something was off, and she wasn't going to let it slide any longer. You've been avoiding me lately, Anthony, Zara said. What's going on? What's wrong? Anthony looked up at her, his face troubled. He had been struggling with his feelings for a while now, but he knew it was time to be honest with her. He took a deep breath, then spoke quietly, his voice full of regret. Zara, I'm sorry. I don't love you. I love someone else. Zara's eyes widened in shock, her heart pounding. She hadn't expected him to say that. She thought that he was just confused, that he would come around. But hearing the words from his mouth hurt more than she had imagined. What? You don't love me? Her voice wavered with a mix of disbelief and anger. Anthony nodded slowly. I'm really sorry, but I've realized my feelings aren't for you. I wish I could be the person you want, but I can't. Zara's face flushed with rage. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. She had put so much effort into this, convinced that Anthony would come around and see how much she had done for him. She had thought that his blue skin and differences didn't matter, but now it seemed that nothing mattered at all. Who do you think you are, you ugly blue-skinned boy? Zara shouted. You really think someone like me would fall for you? I don't even love you. I was only after your money. Who would want to be with an alien like you? Her words stung Anthony like a slap to the face. He had expected her to be upset, but not like this. He could feel the weight of her anger, but he couldn't bring himself to apologize further. This wasn't about him being blue or different. It was about honesty, and he had been honest with her. Zara, her face red with fury, turned and stormed off, leaving Anthony standing there feeling a mix of relief and sadness. He had done the right thing by telling her the truth, but hearing her words still hurt deeply. He didn't regret his feelings, but the way things had ended with Zara made him wonder if he'd made the right choice. As she walked away, Zara could still hear the echo of her own words in her head. She hadn't meant to hurt him so badly, but the anger had taken over. How could he love someone else? She thought bitterly. I have wasted all this time on someone who doesn't even care about me. When Zara arrived home, her heart was still pounding with anger from the conversation she had with Anthony. She stormed into her room, threw herself on her bed, and immediately dialed Sophia's number. The moment Sophia picked up, Zara didn't wait for a greeting. She burst out, her voice sharp with fury. Sophia, you won't believe what just happened, Zara said, pacing around the room. That ugly blue-skinned boy, Anthony, just told me he doesn't love me. Can you believe it? After everything I've done for him. Sophia listened quietly on the other end of the line, unsure of how to respond. Zara wasn't done yet. I don't even like him. I was just after his money. You know he's the son of a senator, right? I wanted to secure my future with him. Now the fool is saying all this rubbish. Thank God he hasn't even slept with me yet. Zara's voice was filled with anger and bitterness. She had been so sure that Anthony would fall for her, but now everything had crumbled. She felt humiliated, and her frustration was pouring out in every word. Sophia remained silent for a moment, letting her friend vent. But then, with a calm voice, she spoke up. Zara, you need to be careful with the way you speak to people. It's not nice to talk to him like that. You can't force someone to love you. Zara stopped pacing. A wave of irritation swept over her at Sophia's words. What are you talking about, Sophia? She snapped. You're telling me I was wrong. After everything I've done, you're defending him. You're just as stupid as he is. Sophia was shocked by Zara's outburst, tried to remain calm. I'm not defending him, but I think you went too far. You shouldn't have spoken to him that way. People have feelings, Zara. You can't just use them for your own gain. But Zara was too angry to listen. Oh, so now you're going to lecture me? What do you know? You've always been so boring, so perfect. You don't know what it's like to want something badly and have it slip away. Sophia's voice shook with a hint of frustration. Zara, I'm just trying to help you. But you have to stop treating people like they're nothing. You can't keep doing this. It's not right. But Zara wasn't interested in listening. Her pride had been hurt, and she wasn't about to back down. You know what? Forget it, Sophia. I don't need your advice. Just stay out of my business, she snapped before ending the call abruptly. The phone went silent in Sophia's ear, and she let out a long, tired sigh. She had hoped to help her friend, but Zara's anger was too overwhelming. She didn't know how to make her understand. Meanwhile, Zara sat on her bed fuming. She hadn't expected Anthony's rejection to sting so much, but now the bitterness was all-consuming. How dare he turn her down? She had been so sure of herself, and now everything was falling apart. As she stared at the wall, her thoughts drifted to her plan. The plan she had thought was foolproof. But now, with Anthony gone and Sophia angry with her, she couldn't help but wonder if it had all been a mistake. Still, she refused to back down. She wasn't going to let Anthony or anyone else make her feel small. She had her sights set on bigger things, and no matter how many people she had to hurt, she would get what she wanted. Anthony took a deep breath and looked at Sophia, his heart pounding in his chest. This was it, the moment he had been waiting for, the moment he had kept locked away for so long. Sophia, he began, his voice soft yet filled with emotion, I need to tell you something. He paused for a moment, gathering his courage before continuing. I love you. I've loved you for so long. But I've been too scared to admit it to myself, let alone tell you. Sophia's eyes widened in surprise, her heart skipping a beat. She hadn't expected this, not in the way he was saying it. She could see the sincerity in his eyes, the vulnerability he was showing. But, Anthony continued, I've been lying to you. I've told you that my father is a senator, but that's not true. I've lied because I didn't think anyone would love me for who I really am. I thought they would only love me for what I could offer, my father's wealth, my status. He lowered his gaze, feeling the weight of his confession. I thought if I told people about my father, they would overlook my skin and love me for that. Sophia stood still, her heart aching for him. She reached out and took his hand in hers, squeezing it gently. Anthony, you don't have to hide who you are, she said softly. People will love you for the person you truly are. You don't need to lie about your family or your wealth. You are enough as you are. And I love you. I've loved you for a long time, even before you told me all this. Her words struck him like a warm embrace, and his heart skipped a beat. She had loved him for who he truly was, not for the lies he had told or the fears he had carried. You love me? Anthony asked, his voice barely above a whisper. He couldn't believe it. After all this time, after all the lies and fears, Sophia still loved him. Sophia nodded, her eyes sparkling with honesty. I've loved you for a long time, Anthony. I've been waiting for this day, hoping you'd see me the way I see you. I don't care about your skin color, and I don't care about your family's wealth. I just love you, Anthony, for who you are. A smile spread across Anthony's face as the weight of his fears melted away. For the first time, he felt free. He didn't need to pretend anymore. Sophia loved him for who he truly was, and that was all that mattered. He quickly pulled out his phone and dialed Ethan's number. As the phone rang, his heart raced with excitement. Ethan, you won't believe it, Anthony said once his friend picked up. I finally told Sophia how I feel about her, and she feels the same way. She loves me, Ethan. On the other end of the line, Ethan laughed, clearly happy for his friend. So Sophia is the one you've been in love with all this time, and you didn't tell me. Man, you've been keeping this from me for so long. Anthony chuckled nervously. Yeah, I know. I was scared. I didn't know if she'd feel the same way. But now I feel like the luckiest guy in the world. I don't need to hide anymore. Ethan's voice grew serious, and there was a note of admiration in his words. I'm really happy for you, bro. Don't ever doubt yourself again. You've got someone who loves you for who you are. That's the most important thing. Anthony smiled, feeling a rush of warmth in his chest. The news of Anthony and Sophia's relationship spread quickly among their friends. It wasn't long before Zara heard about it. She was furious, and her anger burned hotter with each passing minute. That afternoon, Zara stormed into Sophia's room without knocking, her face twisted with rage. So it's been you all this while, Zara spat, her voice sharp. I thought you were my best friend. How could you betray me like this? Sophia was startled by Zara's sudden appearance, but she remained calm. She stood up and looked Zara straight in the eye. Zara, calm down, she said firmly. What are you talking about? You know exactly what I'm talking about, Zara snapped. You're dating Anthony, the same Anthony I was with. How could you do this to me? Sophia sighed deeply, trying to keep her composure. Zara, first of all, Anthony was never really with you, she said. And secondly, I met Anthony before you did. Have you forgotten that I introduced you and Ethan to him? I've loved him since the first day I saw him, but I didn't tell him because I didn't think it was proper for a woman to confess her feelings first. I believe it's a man's place to make the first move, not the other way around. Zara's eyes flared with anger. Oh, so now you're trying to make yourself look like the innocent one, huh? At least I had the guts to go after what I wanted. You're just a snake, Sophia. A sneaky, evil friend who pretends to be kind while stabbing people in the back. Sophia felt her patience wearing thin, but she tried to stay calm. Zara, listen to yourself, she said, her voice steady. You didn't love Anthony. You said it yourself. You were only interested in his money. I've never judged you for that, but don't stand here and accuse me of being wicked because Anthony and I found love. I didn't plan for this to happen, but it did. Zara's face turned red with fury. You're nothing but a wicked soul, Sophia, she screamed. I will never talk to you again. Stay away from me, you evil friend. With that, Zara turned on her heel and stormed out of the room, slamming the door so hard that it shook. Sophia sat down, her hands trembling slightly. She had expected Zara to be upset, but not to this extent. She felt a pang of sadness in her heart. Zara had been her friend, and losing her friendship hurt. But at the same time, Sophia knew she couldn't apologize for finding love with Anthony. She had done nothing wrong. Later that evening, Anthony called Sophia. His voice was gentle and concerned. I heard what happened with Zara, he said. Are you okay? Sophia sighed. I'm fine, Anthony. I just didn't expect her to react that way. Anthony was silent for a moment before he spoke again. Zara will come around eventually. She's just angry right now. But if she doesn't, then maybe she wasn't a true friend after all. Sophia nodded, even though Anthony couldn't see her. You're right, she said. I just hope she realizes that I never meant to hurt her. Ethan had been hearing bits and pieces about the growing rift between Zara and Sophia. It didn't sit well with him. Both girls had been friends for years, and he hated seeing their bond shattered over a situation that could be resolved. So one afternoon, he decided to take matters into his own hands. He found Zara sitting alone under the big mango tree on campus, scrolling through her phone. Hey, Zara. Ethan greeted her as he approached. Zara looked up, frowning. What do you want, Ethan? She asked sharply. I want to talk to you, he said, sitting down beside her. What's going on with you and Sophia? Why are you so angry? Zara scoffed. Why shouldn't I be angry? She betrayed me, Ethan. She stole Anthony from me. Ethan shook his head. Zara, stop it. You're being unfair, and you know it. First of all, Anthony was never yours. Second, I remember you saying you didn't even love him, that you only wanted his money. Now that you've found out he's not rich, why are you still holding on to this grudge? You're forcing yourself on someone you don't even care about, and it's making you look bad. Zara's face hardened, but Ethan wasn't finished. You need to let this go, Zara, he continued. Anthony loves Sophia, not you, and Sophia didn't do anything wrong. If you're honest with yourself, you'll see that you're the one who hurt her, not the other way around. You owe her an apology. Zara crossed her arms and looked away. No, I won't apologize, she said stubbornly. Ethan sighed. Zara, listen to me. You're better than this. Don't let your pride ruin a good friendship. Apologize to Sophia and move on with your life. You're holding on to something that's not meant for you, and it's only going to make you miserable. For a moment, Zara said nothing. She stared at the ground, her jaw clenched. Finally, she muttered, "Fine, I'll think about it." "That's all I ask," Ethan said, standing up. "Do the right thing, Zara. You'll feel better once you let go of all this anger." When Zara got home that evening, Ethan's words echoed in her mind. She hated admitting it, but he was right. Sophia hadn't done anything wrong. Anthony had chosen Sophia, and she needed to accept that. Taking a deep breath, Zara picked up her phone and called Sophia. Sophia answered on the second ring. "Hello, Zara?" Zara hesitated for a moment before speaking. "Sophia, I want to apologize," she said softly. "I was wrong to treat you the way I did. I was angry and jealous, but I shouldn't have taken it out on you. You've always been a good friend, and I'm sorry for everything." Sophia was silent for a moment, and Zara's heart pounded in her chest. Finally, Sophia said, "I forgive you, Zara. I was hurt by the things you said. But I'm glad you called. I missed our friendship." Zara felt a wave of relief wash over her. "Thank you, Sophia. I promise to do better." The two girls talked for a while, and by the end of the call it felt like a weight had been lifted off Zara's shoulders. 3 months passed, and Anthony and Sophia's relationship grew stronger. One sunny afternoon, Anthony surprised Sophia with an invitation to his parents' house. "I want you to meet my family," he said, holding her hands with a smile. Sophia's eyes widened. "Your parents? Are you sure, Anthony?" "Of course I'm sure," he said. "You're the love of my life, Sophia. I want them to know you." A few days later, Anthony handed Sophia an envelope stuffed with cash. Her eyes widened as she looked inside. "Anthony, what is this?" she asked, shocked. "It's for you," he said. "I want you to look good when you meet my parents. Buy yourself a nice dress, some shoes, whatever you need." "Anthony, this is too much," Sophia protested. "I can't accept this. You're managing, and I don't want to be a burden. Please, take it back." Anthony shook his head. "Sophia, don't worry about it," he said firmly. "I borrowed the money from a friend, and I'll pay him back later. I just want you to feel confident and comfortable when you meet my family. You're worth it." Sophia hesitated, her heart torn. "Anthony, you don't have to do all this for me. I love you for who you are, not what you can give me." "I know," Anthony said, smiling. "That's why I want to do this for you. You've been there for me through everything, and now it's my turn to show you how much you mean to me." Tears welled up in Sophia's eyes as she hugged him tightly. "Thank you, Anthony. I don't know what I did to deserve you." Anthony chuckled. "You just loved me, Sophia. That's all I've ever wanted." As the day of the visit approached, Sophia couldn't help but feel nervous and excited. She wanted to make a good impression on Anthony's family and show them just how much she loved their son. Little did she know, the visit would bring even more surprises than she expected. The day finally arrived for Sophia to meet Anthony's family. She was nervous but excited as she stepped out of the car in front of a massive, luxurious mansion. Her mouth fell open as she stared at the sprawling estate with its tall gates, beautifully trimmed gardens, and sparkling fountain in the driveway. This can't be Anthony's house," she whispered to herself. "I thought he said he was poor." Her thoughts were racing as she was ushered inside. The interior of the house was even more breathtaking, with marble floors, grand chandeliers, and elegant furniture. A housekeeper politely showed her to the sitting room. "Please make yourself comfortable. Anthony will join you shortly," the housekeeper said before leaving. Sophia sat down, still trying to process what she was seeing. Nothing about this house matched the simple life Anthony had always described. While lost in thought, a very handsome man entered the room. He was tall with glowing skin, sharp features, and a confident stride. His tailored suit fit him perfectly, and he looked nothing like the Anthony she knew. Sophia stood up, confused. "Good afternoon," she greeted politely. "You look so much like my Anthony. Are you both brothers?" The man laughed, his voice deep and familiar. "Baby, it's me. I'm your Anthony." Sophia froze, staring at him in disbelief. "What?" "No, don't play with me. Anthony doesn't look like this." Anthony stepped closer, his expression serious now. "Baby, please believe me. I'm so sorry. I lied to you." Sophia's eyes widened, her heart racing. "What are you talking about?" Anthony sighed and began to explain. I painted my body to look like that. That's why, during our entire relationship, you never saw me taking my bath. Baby, I've been used and dumped in the past by women who only wanted me for my looks and money. I was tired of being hurt, so my friend came up with this idea. I thought if someone could love me for who I am on the inside, I'd finally know it was real. Sophia was stunned. She could barely process what he was saying. Her emotions churned between anger, betrayal, and confusion. Anthony, that's not nice, she exclaimed. You lied to me and you didn't even trust me enough to show me who you really are. Anthony looked pained. I know, baby, and I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just didn't know how else to protect myself. Sophia crossed her arms, her mind still spinning. And what about this house? You told me you were poor. Anthony hesitated, then said, This house is mine, baby. I own it. My father really is a senator, but my parents don't live here with me. I wanted you to love me for who I am, not because of my wealth or my family's status. Sophia shook her head, feeling overwhelmed. Anthony, I don't know what to believe anymore. I need some time to process this. My head hurts. She stormed off, ignoring Anthony's attempts to stop her. Sophia, please, he called after her, his voice filled with desperation, but she didn't turn back. Anthony sat alone in the living room, his heart sinking as he replayed the scene in his mind. He couldn't believe he had hurt the woman he loved so deeply. Without thinking twice, he grabbed his phone and called Ethan. Ethan, I messed up, Anthony said the moment his friend answered. What happened? Ethan asked, sensing the urgency in Anthony's voice. Anthony explained everything, from the painted skin to the lies about his family's wealth. She stormed off, Ethan. I tried to explain, but she wouldn't listen. Please help me talk to her. I love her so much, and I never meant to hurt her feelings. Ethan sighed deeply. Man, you really went too far this time. Sophia loves you for who you are, and you didn't need to go to such extremes. You should have been honest with her from the start. I know, Anthony said, his voice filled with regret. I just didn't want to lose her. Ethan softened. Don't worry, I'll talk to her. But Anthony, you need to be patient. You've shaken her trust, and it's going to take time for her to forgive you. Thank you, Ethan, Anthony said quietly. Please just help me fix this. I can't lose her. Ethan nodded. I'll do my best. But next time, be honest, man. Trust is everything in a relationship. Anthony hung up, feeling a flicker of hope. He could only pray that Ethan's words would reach Sophia's heart and that she would give him another chance to prove his love. Dear amazing viewers, do you think Sophia will forgive Anthony after discovering all the lies? And what about Zara? How do you think she will react when she finds out that Anthony is not only handsome, but also wealthy? We'd love to hear your thoughts and predictions in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe for part 2 of this intriguing story. Don't forget to like, share, and turn on notifications so you'll be the first to know when we upload the next exciting chapter. Stay blessed and thanks for watching.